Welcome to a short video on archives, museums, and the digital humanities. My name is Dominique Luster, and I'm the Teenie Harris Archivist at the Carnegie Museum of Art. And I'd like to speak to you for a few minutes about how we incorporate the humanities with the Teenie Harris Archive in a museum setting. The first thing that's important to note is that history is, in fact, a curated narrative. History isn't just a set of facts in a correct order. It's actually who chooses to be and not to be included in history, or who is chosen to be or not to be included in history. And that is really where archives come in. So archives are actually a collection of historical records that are the primary source documents that are evidence to either a people, a group, an organization, a company, or an entire culture. And the selection of certain records to be included in an archive over others is an assertion of power. It's an assertion of storytelling. It's an assertion of who is included in history and whom is not. And that is really the power of archives, and that is the power of making sure that all stories are collected and told, and those that are suppressed or oppressed are lifted, and while others are taken out of being silenced. We do this with the Teenie Harris collection specifically because African American history is often one of those histories that can often be silenced or oppressed. Now, with the Teenie Harris collection, we have taken the great experiment of collecting one artist's entire life's work. Charles Teenie Harris was a photographer for the Pittsburgh Courier, and he's working from about the early 1930s to the late 1970s, and he's going to be a photographer for the Pittsburgh Courier, and he's eventually will become one of the most prolific photographers of the 20th century, and he's going to be photographing everything in African American life to Pittsburgh life to American life as a whole. Now, with this collection of this size, what's important to note is that over his lifespan, the collection has accumulated about 80,000 individual photographs. Now, the size of the collection is already important enough, but the ability to manage and make accessible the collection is where we have to introduce computation in the digital humanities. Without that work, we wouldn't be able to make the collection accessible on the scale that it is. So the great experiment of the Charles Teenie Harris collection is something that is fairly rare in archives, in the world of archives. What we did was we took all approximate 80,000 photographs over an almost 20-year span and have individually cataloged, digitized, and described every image, including the people, the dates, the names, the locations, the events, any information that was included in the original Pittsburgh Courier article. And we have done in mass scale uploaded those records onto the website so that they are then accessible to the public and to the people whose photographs they are. So what that looks like is now you have an archive that goes from the boxes in one location that is only accessible by certain people, and through the power of digital humanities and our digitization efforts, you now have the ability to search the collection for yourself, for your family, wherever that may be. And it's keyword searchable due to our extensive cataloging and descriptive practices. That way, that you can search for a family's name, you can search for the street that your grandmother used to live on. However you can find identification within the community or within the collection is how we'd like to make the collection accessible to all. And for us, it isn't just about making the collection accessible, it's making the collection relevant not only to researchers and scholars, but to everyday Pittsburghers who may want to leverage this collection for their own family uses. So what we're doing is trying to improve our data by speaking with people. So we talk to the individuals who were in the collection, who were photographed in the images, and we ask them about dates, we ask them about names, we ask them their stories, and we describe their stories the way that they wish to be described, so that when we add that new analog data back into our collection site, now all of a sudden our programs and algorithms are far more rich and have far more things to work with, so that when that collection goes back onto the internet, it is now more discoverable and more searchable to everyone who might wish to use it. So it's a pretty cyclical effect of we've created data on our own, and then we go back out into the community to collect more data, and then we add that data back into our database just so that it goes back out into the community once again. And we do that process over and over again on all 80,000 of the records. Now, to take that one step further, we're also trying to use more machines and more computers in the digital humanities to improve how we're building our catalogs faster. So myself and my team in the Teenie Harris Archive want to talk to as many people as possible, but we're only so many people, and we can only talk to so many people at a time. And that is where we've started amplifying our work within the digital humanities and partners across the region to try and identify faces, names, shared locations faster using computers and computer-aided vision. So that allows us to identify one person by name, by speaking to a community member, and then trace that person or name or face throughout the rest of the collection using technology. So it actually helps us improve and catch individuals who may otherwise have been silenced from history or lost in the collection because of its size and scale. Now, with the Teenie Harris collection, we're nowhere near our beginning, but we're also nowhere near our end. And we have many, many more stories to tell and more stories to collect. And we hope that more people will join us in this endeavor, both in the physical space and in our online repository. So if you are interested at all and you're interested in the work that we do and how we digitize this work, how we have come to do this scale of cataloging and description work, and how we manage that amount of data, I hope that you will join us on our website or join us in person at the Carnegie Museum of Art. Thank you.